from your chart, the angle from cosine that has a value of rad 3 over 2, that's just 30 degrees, right? So this angle here is 30 degrees. So therefore this one should be 30 degrees shy of 180. So it should be 150, and that's exactly what we got here in the calculator. What's the value of x in this equation? Okay, so this is a base problem. So it's to do with exponents. Basically, these two base numbers are basically powers of the same number. So like 9 is 3 squared. We replace 9 with 3 squared. And then we replace 27 with 3 to the third. And at this point we multiply out our exponents. So we get here 3 to the power 6x plus 2. And here we get 3 to the power 3x plus 6. Then we set those exponents equal. So 6x plus 2 equals 3x plus 6. Subtract 3x. And then we also subtract 2. And then we could divide by 3. So we end up with x is 4/3. The roots of this equation are, okay. Well, I can see from the looks of it, we might need the quadratic formula for this one. So there might be integer solutions if these are the answers, but we might have to do quadratic formula. So I'm just going to do the quadratic formula and see what we get, especially because there's a 2 out in front. So trinomial factoring is going to turn into AC factoring, which is a little more complicated, and so to avoid that, let's just jump right into our quadratic equation. So A is 2, B is 7, C is -3. So I do negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative 7 plus or minus square root 49 minus 4 times 2 times -3 all over 2 times 2, which is 4. So we get negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49. There's 2 negatives here, so that makes plus. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. All over 4. So it's negative 7 plus or minus the square root of, this turns to 73 over 4. And that's looking like choice 3. Which ratio represents cosecant of A in the diagram below? Well, here's angle A. Cosecant is the inverse of sine, 1 over sine. Right, reciprocal. So if I figure out what sine is, of course sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosecant is going to be 1 over that, which really means that we have to flip it. So we end up with hypotenuse over opposite. So this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite because it's furthest away from the angle in question, and this is the adjacent. The adjacent is the side that actually touches this arc, and it's not the hypotenuse. So we just have to do hypotenuse over opposite, which is going to be 25 over 7. So that's answer choice 2. Alright, next up we have number 11. So whenever we see negative exponents, that really just means that it's on the wrong side of the fraction, okay? So what we can do is we can take this w minus 9 and bring it to the top, and do the opposite with this w minus 5. So we end up with w to the 9th over w to the 5th, whole thing raised to the 1/2. And then we subtract exponents here to get w to the 4th to the 1/2. And finally, we multiply these to get w squared as a result. Principal would like to assemble a committee of 8 students from a 15-member council. How many different committees can be chosen? So this is a combination permutation type question. So really, it's just going to be the bigger number, either C or P, with the smaller number. And so to determine whether it's C or P, I like to use the words choose or place. Right? So am I going to choose those students, or am I going to place them in some type of arrangement? In this case, we're just choosing, right? It's going to be 15 C8. And C stands for combinations, of course. But the calculator doesn't really care. It just wants to know. So to get to choose, I have to go to the math menu, and then I scroll over to probability tab, and I press option 3, NCR. Then I put in my second number, and equals 6435. That's choice 2. An amateur bowler calculated his bowling average for the season. If the data are normally distributed, okay, about how many of his 50 games were within 1 standard deviation of the mean? Okay. So, if you know from your chart, about 68% of all things are within 1 standard deviation of the mean, right? So if this is the mean, this will be mean plus 1 standard deviation. This will be the mean minus 1 standard deviation. So 68% of your data will lie in between of those barriers. So now, out of these 50 games, we have to take 68% of 50. And that really means just 0.68, because this means move the decimal twice to the left. Of means times 50. So we just have to do that in our calculator. 0.68 times 50. End up with 34. Answer choice 3. What is the formula for the nth term of a sequence B shown below? Okay. So to get the nth term, we need to figure out what kind of sequence this is, and it looks like it's arithmetic. So arithmetic just means that they're adding something each time, so it looks like the rule is plus 2. Right? That rule is what we call the common difference D. And then our formula for the nth term is a sub n equals the first term plus n, which is the number of terms, times the, d, which is the common difference, times n minus 1. So basically we have to add the common difference n minus 1 times. So those are the jumps, right? So we have to jump 1, 2, 3 times to get to the 4th term, for example. So yeah, we just have to plug this in. So the first term is 10 plus 2 times n minus 1. And we're just going to leave it as n for now. So we get 10 plus, and we distribute this 2, we get 2n minus